Old Trafford. Old Trafford, located in Greater Manchester, England, is the largest club football stadium in the United Kingdom and the 12th largest in Europe. With a capacity of 74,310, it has been Manchester United's home ground since 1910. The stadium underwent several expansions in the 1990s and 2000s, including the addition of extra tiers to the north, west, and east stands, almost returning the capacity to 80,000. Future expansion is likely to involve the addition of a second tier to the south stand, raising the capacity to around 88,000. The stadium's record attendance was recorded in 1939 when 76,962 spectators watched the FA Cup semi-final between Wolverhampton Wanderers and Grimsby Town. It has hosted various international events, including the FA Cup final, UEFA Euro 1996, the 2012 Summer Olympics, and UEFA Women's Euro 2022. The stadium also hosted the 2003 Champions League final. Outside football, Old Trafford is occasionally used for rugby league, hosting the Rugby Football League's annual Super League Grand Final and 5 editions of the Rugby League World Cup. History. Manchester United, previously known as Newton Heath, played their football matches at North Road and Bank Street in Clayton before renaming to Old Trafford. The stadium was designed by Scottish architect Archibald Leach and had a capacity of 100,000 spectators. However, the cost of construction increased to approximately 80,000, reinforcing the club's Moneybags United epithet. In May 1908, Archibald Leach wrote to the Cheshire Lines Committee (CLC) to request a £10,000 subsidy for the construction of the grandstand alongside the railway line. The CLC turned down the proposal, and the stadium was renamed Old Trafford Football Ground in 1936. The stadium hosted its inaugural game on February 19, 1910, with United playing host to Liverpool. Before the construction of Wembley Stadium in 1923, the FA Cup final was hosted at various grounds around England, including Old Trafford. The ground hosted its largest pre-Second World War attendance in 1920 and its first international football match in 1926. During World War II, Old Trafford was requisitioned by the military to be used as a depot. Football resumed at the stadium, but was damaged by a German bombing raid on December 22, 1940. Football resumed at Old Trafford on March 8, 1941, but another raid destroyed much of the stadium, forcing the club's operations to move to Cornbrook Cold Storage. The War Damage Commission granted Manchester United £4,800 to remove debris and £17,478 to rebuild the stands. During the reconstruction, Manchester United played their home games at Main Road, the home of their crosstown rivals, Manchester City, at a cost of £5,000 a year plus a percentage of gate receipts. The club was now £15,000 in debt, and the first game back at Old Trafford was played on August 24, 1949. The Old Trafford Stadium, built by Manchester United since the Second World War, underwent several improvements over the years. A roof was restored in 1951, and the Stretford End, now the West Stand, was added in 1959. Floodlighting was installed to allow for European games played in late evenings. The first match to be played under floodlights was a First Division match between Manchester United and Bolton Wanderers on March 25, 1957. However, the stadium faced problems with obstructed views due to the pillars supporting the roofs. In 1965, the North Stand was completely redesigned with modern-style cantilevering, allowing spectators an unobstructed view. The East Stand was developed in the same style in 1973. And the club's owners plan to convert the stadium into a bowl-like arena. The capacity of Old Trafford declined steadily, dropping from 80,000 to approximately 60,000 by the 1980s. In 1990, the Taylor Report recommended that all First and Second Division stadia be converted to all-seaters, leading to a £3 to £5 million redevelopment. This forced the club to receive only £1.4 million of a possible £2 million from the Football Trust for work related to the Taylor Report. In 1995, the club purchased the Trafford Park Trading Estate for £9.2 million and began construction on a new stand. The new 3-tiered stand cost £18.65 million to build and had a capacity of about 25,500. The stadium hosted its first major European final 3 years later, playing host to the 2003 UEFA Champions League final. Old Trafford, Manchester United's home stadium, experienced a significant expansion in 2006 with an increase of around 8,000 seats. The stadium's capacity reached a new Premier League record of 69,070 spectators on March 26, 2006, and reached its peak on March 31, 2007, with 76,098 spectators. In 2009, the capacity was reduced to 75,957, ensuring the club's home attendance record would remain until the next expansion. On February 19, 2010, Manchester United celebrated its 100th anniversary with an art competition for pupils to create their own depictions of the stadium. The stadium also hosted matches in the 2012 Summer Olympics, including the first women's international matches. In 2021, Old Trafford hosted the first game of the Manchester United women's team, with a crowd of 20,241 attending the match. In 2022, it hosted the opening match of UEFA Women's Euro 2022, with a record attendance of 68,871, the second highest in the United Kingdom. Old Trafford was included in the UK and Republic of Ireland's short list of stadiums to host UEFA Euro 2028, but was not included on the final list. Structure and facilities. The Old Trafford pitch is surrounded by 4 covered all-seater stands, officially known as the Sir Alex Ferguson North, East, Sir Bobby Charlton South, and West stands. Each stand has at least 2 tiers, with the exception of the Sir Bobby Charlton stand, which only has 1 tier due to construction restrictions. The Sir Alex Ferguson stand, formerly known as the United Road stand and the North stand, is the ground's largest stand and houses many of the ground's more popular facilities, including the Red Cafe and the Manchester United Museum and Trophy Room. The North Stand was renamed the Sir Alex Ferguson Stand in 2011 in honor of Alex Ferguson's 25 years as manager, and a statue of him was erected outside the stand in 2012. The Sir Bobby Charlton Stand, formerly Old Trafford's main stand and previously known as the South Stand, contains most of the ground's executive suites and VIPs. The stand is also home to the Old Players Tunnel, which was used until 1993 and was renamed the Munich Tunnel in 2008. The West Stand, also known as the Stretford End, is the most known stand at Old Trafford and is traditionally home to hardcore United fans. The Stretford End was the last stand to be covered and the last remaining all-terraced stand at the ground before the forced upgrade to seating in the early 1990s. The East Stand at Old Trafford, also known as the Scoreboard End, is the second to be converted to a cantilever roof and can hold nearly 12,000 fans. It is the location of both the disabled fan section and the away section. The K Stand, which was once divided into sections, is the most commonly referred to today. The East Stand has a tinted glass facade, housing the club's administrative center, Inside United, the official Manchester United magazine, the club's official website, and other administrative departments. Images and advertisements are often emblazoned on the front of the East Stand, most often advertising products and services provided by the club sponsors. The Manchester United Club Shop has had 6 different locations since its first opening, with the most recent moves coming in the late 1990s when the West Stand required room to expand to a second tier. The store was moved to a temporary site opposite the East Stand before taking up a permanent residence in the ground floor of the expanded East Stand in 2000. The pitch at Old Trafford measures approximately 105 meters long by 68 meters wide, with a few meters of runoff space on each side. The pitch is watered regularly and mowed 3 times a week between April and November. In the mid-1980s, Manchester United Football Club owned the Manchester Giants, but the basketball franchise was eventually sold. In 2009, the car park became home to the Hubla Clock Tower, a 10-meter-tall tower in the shape of the Hubla logo. Hotel Football, a football-themed hotel and fan clubhouse, opened in 2015 and can accommodate up to 1,500 supporters. Future. In 2009, Manchester United plans to increase the capacity of their stadium by redeveloping the Sir Bobby Charlton Stand. This would increase the stadium's capacity to 95,000, making it greater than Wembley Stadium. The development is expected to cost around £100 million due to the proximity of the railway line and the need to build over it and purchase up to 50 houses on the other side of the railway. However, the Manchester United Group property manager confirmed that expansion plans are in the pipeline, linked to profits from the club's property holdings around Manchester. In 2016, talk of the redevelopment of the Sir Bobby Charlton stand re-emerged, with an £11 million investment into upgrading facilities to meet accessibility standards. To mitigate the reduction in capacity, various expansion plans have been considered, such as adding a second tier to the stand, replicating corner stands on the other side of the stadium, and increasing the number of executive facilities. In 2018, plans were on hold due to logistical issues, as any redevelopment is likely to be a multi-season project. The club managing director Richard Arnold stated that there is no way to do it without rendering them homeless, and Manchester United would have to leave Old Trafford for the duration of the works. In 2021, early stage planning work for the redevelopment of Old Trafford and the club's Carrington training ground began, following criticism over the lack of development since 2006. The club is considering tearing down the current stadium and building an entirely new one on the same site. Other uses. Old Trafford, a stadium in Manchester, England, has hosted both rugby league and rugby union matches since its inception in 1958. The first league match was held in 1958, with Salford playing against Leeds under floodlights in front of 8,000 spectators. The stadium also hosted the first rugby league test match in 1986, the 1989 World Club Challenge, and the semi-final between England and Wales at the 1995 Rugby League World Cup. The stadium also hosted the final of the Super League Test Series in 1997, with Great Britain winning in front of 40,324 fans. The stadium was chosen as the venue for the Rugby League World Cup final in 2000, where Australia and New Zealand won a 40-12 win. In 2019, it was selected to host the 2021 Rugby League World Cup finals. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, 2020 was the first year the Super League Grand Final was not hosted due to concerns about rescheduling the match. Old Trafford has also hosted other sports, such as tennis exhibition matches, cricket matches, and concerts. The stadium has also been used for private functions, including weddings, Christmas parties, and business conferences. Records. Old Trafford, a former football stadium, has a rich history dating back to 1939, when hosted the highest attendance at 76,962 for an FA Cup semi-final. The stadium has since been converted into an all-seater facility, with a current record of 76,098 for a Premier League game between Manchester United and Blackburn Rovers in 2007. The lowest recorded attendance at a competitive game at Old Trafford was 11,968 in 1950, but the ground also hosted a second division match in 1921 with an official attendance of just 13. The highest average attendance at Old Trafford over a league season was 75,826, set in the 2006 to 2007 season. The greatest total attendance at Old Trafford came 2 seasons later, with 2,197,429 people watching Manchester United win the Premier League, the League Cup, and reach the final of the UEFA Champions League and the semi-finals of the FA Cup. The lowest average attendance at Old Trafford was in the 1930-31 season, with an average of 11,685 spectators watching each game. Transport. Manchester United Football Ground Railway Station is located near the Sir Bobby Charlton stand and serves the stadium on match days. The stadium is served by the Altrincham, Eccles, South Manchester, and Trafford Park lines of the Manchester Metrolink network, with nearby stops being Wharfside, Old Trafford, and Exchange Quay. All 3 stops are less than 10 minutes walk from the football ground. Buses 255, 256, and 263 run by Stagecoach Manchester and Arriva Northwest stop near Sir Matt Busby Way, while Stagecoach's 250 service stops outside Old Trafford on Wharfside Way and X50 service stops across from Old Trafford on Waters Reach. Additional match buses run between Old Trafford and Manchester City Centre. Other services serving Old Trafford include Arriva's 79 service, Stretford Swinton, Arriva's 245 service, Altrincham, Exchange Quay, First Greater Manchester Service 53, Cheetham, Pendleton, and Stagecoach's 84 service, Withington Hospital, Manchester. The ground also has several car parks within walking distance, which are free to park in on non-match days.